Okay, the November meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission is now open. As I see, everybody is here. We have a full house today. That's very good. Thank you. Could everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do you have a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Hope for discussions of the last October 16th meeting minutes. Are there any comments, changes, or
Move the minutes.
do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Announcements. Susan, could you provide us with an update of the Non-Residential Design Review Committee? Any action?
The Non-Residential Design Review Committee did meet, I forget when, I think it was earlier this week, and they had one sign to approve for Yuppie Puppy over in Lighthouse Station, and it was approved.
Thank you.
We have nothing else coming up.
All right. Comments and updates regarding the town council meeting. Scott, could you provide that for us, please?
Sure, thank you. We had a well-attended hearing yesterday. We voted to approve the use of the parking lots at the end of the roadways at the dune for residential use to continue for another year, to reevaluate that again a year from now. It would have been a detriment to anyone's health to vote against that. We also had a lengthy discussion on a feasibility study for a proposed pathway through the Walcheck property. We voted in favor of paying for a feasibility study to determine both rehabilitation of the wetlands and whether it's feasible to put a pedestrian path through there connecting to Central Avenue. There is opposition to that from the neighbors, particularly the neighbors on the east side of that proposed path. Some on the west side, some on the Hudson Road. I think there's also letters of support for it. Right now, all we're doing is getting a feasibility study done, and DENREC is splitting the cost of that with us for the feasibility study. Otherwise, we learned that Comcast is working away. They're moving into the east side of town so they can get that work done over here prior to the summer season. And some exciting things that we will have a holiday party this year. So take a look at the calendar for that. And there will be a 4th of July parade because the committee is in full effect. So we're getting back to normal, whether COVID says we should or not. We're getting back to normal. So, and I think that was pretty much it.
Good, thank you. John?
The bigger news was we're going to get a new garbage truck.
We are getting a new garbage truck.
My grandson will be excited.
I just figured everyone knew that. I figured everyone already read that in the papers.
I meant to tell him that yesterday.
Mr. Chairman, it's about $250,000 for the cost of it, but it'll be very exciting to.
Well, Bethany has very high-class garbage. It's just not
Oh,
going
it's a
to.
Peterbilt, so, but yeah, we're getting a new garbage truck.
Good. Okay, well, we only have one public person. We have two of our council people here. Thank you for attending. One former council member. Are there any comments from any of you? No? Okay. Under new business, I'd like to add a memo from Susan about petitioning a relocation of lot lines to this. Have we got in the mail?
I'm sorry, I don't have a briefing, so I don't know what we're talking about. Yeah, that'll be scheduled for January,
Oh,
Okay,
not today. That is the property that is between
Yeah.
Hudson and Second Street.
that we dealt with a few years ago.
We did. That property is now an irregular-shaped property. It has a small, what I call a dog leg, that they appended to it, and then gave those people, it goes in front of another property, and then they gave them an easement, so they have access. And what it did was it made this property on, it's being subdivided 10,000 square feet, so that it could be 2 lots. There's currently a house on it, dead center, going lengthwise. They're going to cut off the garage, rotate the house, and stick it on the lot fronting on Second Street. But we'll have all this fun next
Good.
month.
Excitement,
it'd be
okay.
interesting to watch them do that.
It better be exact, because they're right on the setbacks. So as soon as we get the foundation going, we'll know that.
Okay, old business. We're getting close to the end. Fortunately, we have our 2 experts sitting to my left that can,
Well, Mark's joining us now.
that's right, and Mark has joined, and the
3
chairman and the
experts.
vice chairman,
the new
we're
guy.
just
Now we
along
have
for the
Scott on
ride
the
here.
Correct.
We've got our council appointee, not appointee, but our councilman, Mr. Kilmer, sitting back there, and he's an integral part of this also, so let's begin. John?
Mr. Chairman, I hope all the members of the commission saw Diane's email about updates from the census for the period of 2016 to 2020. That email basically said that the Census Bureau had delayed the release of that information while they refined it. And I only mention that because many of the background material that's in our comprehensive plan relates to that period of time, and we won't be getting those updates until, I believe, March at the earliest, maybe June. That does not, from my standpoint, preclude our keep working on this in terms of the language and all, but in terms of a final product with those updated charts, it's going to be later in the year, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, I think the part of the census we use to change the tables and our input in our text is the American Community Survey, and that is what is being delayed. And they are delaying it till January. They think they possibly can have everything out by March. But I subscribe, so we'll be getting updates from them, too, if it gets completed earlier. Susan, do you know anything about this?
I do not.
Okay. But it doesn't change a lot of the other things we were doing. It's only the tables that say we rely on the Census Bureau's American Community Survey.
I'm going to just remind everybody that Andrea and Molly aren't here, to use your mics as much as
Okay,
possible.
thank you.
Thank you.
Lou, what is the date that we're required, the council's required to submit it to the state? Do you know?
I don't, but because of COVID, I think everything's kind of loose right now
Okay,
as far as finalizing things. I mean, obviously, the next thing to do is the council approves what the Planning and Zoning Commission has created, and then at that point, then it goes up to the state planning office for their comments and final approval.
well, I guess what we could do, and we can talk about this a little later, not today necessarily, but the next meeting, I'd like to finish everything up with an asterisk on those items that we have to wait for, pardon me, because they really don't impact that much, the plan. and then send that to the council so they can vote on what we provide them, and then send it to the, so that way, maybe we can get the council to say, all right, update the numbers when you get them, and then and then the council can transmit it to the state at that point, and it'll be just a formality if everybody agrees to try to do something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, good, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my recollection is that when we did the 2010, 2020 update, it took almost 2 years for the state to finally approve it. Isn't that correct, Lou? I mean, it was,
2012, yeah.
And that's light speed.
so, I'm not trying to put the brakes on this at all, but I would expect that when we're done, the state planning office probably is facing the same challenges as other places from COVID and all. And I don't expect to have the state putting their foot down on us with our product, because we're still way ahead of the timeline, if you will.
I totally agree. I mean, it basically, the state's position is comprehensive plans. It gives them an idea about how towns are, looking at their future. They're looking at the issues that they're dealing with on a regular basis, and some of the future issues that they'd like to have addressed. It's also helpful for them to understand what kind of state aid at some point might be needed from various communities, depending on the kinds of requests that they made. So this is all basically, like I said, they're 10 years ahead of time. And with everything in the world has changed from COVID, everyone is dealing with the same issues of having people available. Some of the things you really can't do very well unless you do things in person, so.
Yeah, my position is I'd like to get this thing wrapped up so that we don't have it hanging over our head. Get it out there, and when it's done, it's done. Yes, I understand that we've got plenty of time, and I'm not worried about it. But I'd like to get it off our plate as soon as we feel comfortable doing that. So that's,
There's
I think
still,
what we'll do.
what, is it 3 months of review for town council? Remind me of the council review procedure?
Well, probably that's a fair timeline. Like everybody else, it's a pretty extensive document, and you want to have some opportunity to not just to read it, to study it, and have any questions that might need to be addressed afterwards.
And
But the history of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the relationship with the town council, it goes pretty well. I mean, there's not a lot of changes that are required, and since it is the Planning and Zoning Commission's responsibility to actually generate the comprehensive plan, there's a lot of faith and trust put in the Planning and Zoning Commission to have basically a final product produced.
I'm sorry, but is there public comment at town council, or in addition to any public comment?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. That's like with all FOIA kind of things, there has to be input from that. But generally, again, Scott, very little input that we see from the public. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but generally, it's a big document, and a lot of people don't have the opportunity or the time to sit there. But that's why a good executive summary is important
Unless we wrote something like, you have to pay to park in the dune lots. Then
Right.
we'd get
Okay. And I think what we did in 2010, and we had a lot of help in 2010 from Delaware, University of Delaware helped us. That gave us one heck of a basis for anything we've done since. So I'm pretty confident that, and we didn't make a lot of changes here.
No, and again, we did it again in 2015 too. So
Right,
the 5-year update.
exactly. So, okay. Any other comments before we get into whatever we need to get into here? Okay, let's go. Ladies, I know you've been working.
Okay, I'm trying to think of where off my page here. Okay. I've got to get back in. Kathy, do you agree? Should we go back in to see all the things on the sides to make sure we've edited those? The little ones that are on the side? I have John, I think there's some things for you. Let me see.
It's weird that stuff is showing up from like May. Are you seeing that on your version? Like that's on the
Yeah.
page? Okay. It's just interesting that it's like, I feel like I've gone through here and like
I
actually
see
accepted most of these,
something.
but maybe I didn't go back that
Okay.
far.
It's page 7 of what we're looking at, John, and I don't know, yeah, it's on page 7, yeah, your name, okay. We just need to make sure we can correct these. And I think most of them are just,
Yeah, they're just,
yeah, go ahead.
they're back from May.
Yeah.
It seems like
Yeah,
I just missed
Yeah.
accepting those changes.
yeah,
This is a more recent Andrea addition here, just noting when
okay.
Gerald Hocker's term
There's one
ends.
other correction up there, too.
Further up,
Yeah. Yeah,
On that page.
yeah,
on that same page?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Fourth paragraph,
Oh, it's not tracked.
as in the past.
Yeah.
Seven? Oh,
Okay, there we go.
And then down a little further.
That's it, yeah. Okay.
okay.
And Kathy and I had gone in to clean up some of this last week, so some of the things have already been edited. Oh, yes,
And more
More.
has been edited since we,
yeah. And on page 2,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you want to review these, or do you want me to just accept them?
Well,
I think we just accept
Yeah.
them. I think
Okay.
we've talked about them, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So that's just we're waiting on numbers for that.
Yeah. What page are we on?
I'm on page 5 now.
Okay, okay, yeah.
what about the one on page 4,
That's the one I was looking at.
Oh, that is about,
traffic fatalities?
yeah, we just don't have those numbers. So that note is just that it needs to be updated with those, when we have those numbers, because they're old, they're 2014 numbers. Or if we get them. So on page 5, Andrea has made a change to the paragraph you're seeing there.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any questions or comments, proposed
Yeah,
changes to
I
that?
think that's
I
fine.
think that's good.
Okay. And then next one, yeah, John,
So we've got a section there for John
yeah,
to work on.
okay, it's John, okay, so we just need to keep this in on the side so we recognize that it needs to be done.
I think that's a good way to
Yeah, that's
to
the way
track
to
it.
do it, because we've tried to figure out other things, but as long as we have something on the side, we can go back to it
Yeah.
and revisit it.
On page 6, Andrea has just added a sentence to the line under stormwater and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Anyone want to,
Okay,
does that look good?
that's good.
Okay, we've got another section here for
John
John Apple to
yeah.
update. All right, so page 7, a note on Del Dot adding streetlights.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I think this on page 13 about the Green Bethany initiative was just about one of our discussions about whether we had one of those. So we can revisit that. I'm not sure, I can't remember back to June why we wanted to update this page, but
Is it just formatting, maybe?
Yeah.
Moving that.
oh, it
the
could be
next page up
formatting.
to the
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, moving
space.
the chart up there
Good job, yeah.
could be. So it looks like Andrea's updated some numbers and census data there, or at least the referencing the correct census.
Okay.
And that covers the note I was saying about update.
Again.
What about this map on page 15? Does that need to be,
Were you working on that?
So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
can move it up to the next page,
we need to
or the previous page.
do we need to-
It actually just needs to be updated,
we need
right?
to
It's a
update it?
We need
2004
to-
map.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2004.
So we'll add a comment in there.
yeah. Maybe that's kind of our format, right? The maps are on their own page. Seems to be. So we don't need to change that necessarily, but same thing on
Yeah,
page 17. Okay, on page 18, Andrew's just made some clarifications there.
yeah.
I think my note here from June is just that we say as well as offering a number of incentives for meeting green initiatives. And I think there's a question as to whether we actually do that or not. Does anyone know of any?
Okay, and this.
Should we just strike that?
we just, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, unless you guys want to. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Looks like Andrea's updated on page 23 some weather and climate data for us.
Okay.
Which I don't want to gloss over that typically our July is our hottest month with average maximum afternoon. It used to be 85 and now it's 87. Just let that sink in. and we get 45 inches of rain a year instead of 42. If anyone asks you if climate change is real, just remember that. Remember this discussion. I think this is the demographics and population.
Yeah.
This is, yeah, exactly what we were talking about, Diane. Where, so I'm gonna. Guess I'm gonna accept that. Page 25, Diane, you just want to update the, when we can, the,
Right.
yeah, okay. Same thing for Kathy, your comments in the next two paragraphs, okay? And on 26, I presume the projected population scenarios are based on the last census, not this current one, so same note
Same
there.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, all of these.
All right, so I'm down on page 31. And I think similar notes when we can get those updated. I don't know why,
Yeah.
on table 10, it looks like that's up to date. Susan, does that make sense? Table 10, the housing growth, 2016 to 2020, does that,
Yeah, I think I
you updated it?
all these.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, great.
Okay, so that's good, that's done.
Same thing for the total building
Yeah,
permits.
if it says 20 up there, then I've gone
You
through
did it.
these and I've just,
Great.
I didn't bother to
No, that's great.
suggest it, I did the real numbers.
Should we move table 11 down to the next
To the next page.
Yeah. Went to the next page. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so, but we'll still need to update the housing stock for Bethany Beach and Sussex County from, because those are two,
Yeah, yeah, so it still says 2015.
okay. And then I'm all the way down on page 36 now, so housing value is a similar note from, we might even still have 1990s information in there.
Do we have a comment in there that the state's redoing the assessments?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Do we have a comment in here, and I don't remember, that the state is reassessing properties?
That's a good point.
I don't know.
I know, that's a good point, we need to.
I thought I heard something about a county reassessment.
Well, that's,
county,
what-
right?
yeah, the
Yeah.
county. So,
Yeah, so right now, it says in the 1990s, the region saw housing values increase approximately 25%. I mean, it's increased more than 25% in the last
year.
365 days, yeah.
Is this the place to update it, then?
I think just a note, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
Put
it's,
a note in
Sentence or
that
two,
about
or-
the assessment.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then probably the same thing on the ownership and vacancy. Because that may have changed too, from the 90s or whenever that number came from, 80%. It might not be as high anymore with more year-round residents. Like Mark. It could be 79% because Mark is year-round now, yeah.
Well, just since I was here since '85, not full-time, Believe me, when I used to close the house in 1990, there was nothing here.
Oh, yeah. Last one out, turn the lights off, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was like that when we moved here in 2010. It was even still like, and it's changed a lot in 10 years.
Yeah, everything was closed off-season.
So page 38, we'll just need to update that map with the,
Yeah.
with a more recent date. I don't think the map has changed. Same as on page 42. All right, so on
Another one, yeah.
page 43, Andrea has updated our volume of sand calculation. So we'll take that, accept it.
My question is, as we say, needs updating, are we assigning that to somebody? I mean, or is that just going to keep rolling around as we look at this, or?
We did talk about who, Pam, was your
Or
granddaughter
staff
that did the
person,
map?
Particular staff person, or one of us?
Yeah.
We tried to, we couldn't even figure out how to get into the map to change the February 2011 asterisk.
I don't want to make work for Mark and I, but I bet we could update the dates on the maps pretty easily.
Okay.
And I could have somebody do it in Photoshop.
Okay, let the record show.
See how this works.
I was just a little concerned that we're just keep saying needs updating, needs
Yeah.
updating.
Yeah.
Unless there's a process somebody else is familiar with, it would be pretty easy for us to just edit the image and change the date. It's more complicated. So for instance, I don't think anything's changed to the zoning map. This is yeah, okay. But if for instance that wasn't the right zoning map, we'd want to,
I mean, some of the lot lines change, but that's, I mean,
Yeah.
we're not really looking at that detail.
no, it doesn't change the district at all.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. We have a note here on 45, Susan, that you're going to update the,
Let me see where, I think, what's
it looks, that's from July, that looks up to date.
addition to existing? Yeah, I think that's been updated,
Okay.
yeah, because we didn't have that in before, I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all done.
And on 46,
So page 46, we need to consult with the fire department here. So it'd probably be good to assign someone for that. Does anyone like consulting with the fire department? Have they consulted with the fire department before?
Does anybody know them?
I live right across the street. I can just walk over there.
okay.
I can ask them.
Walk over
Yeah.
there, Scott.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. You see in the papers that we denied them for something that they wanted, so they went to South Bethany for it. They asked for something 2 years ago, or money from town council or something. It was like a gator or something, and then they didn't. Did you, in that same article about South Bethany not voting to change the speed limit down to 30, there was something about the fire chief said they couldn't get what he wanted out of Bethany, so he went to South Bethany for it.
That's because he had the wrong mayor.
That's right. That's right. Ask Lou. Lou was hard on him. I honestly don't know what it was. I wasn't even sure it was true. Okay. Okay, so on page 51, well water data, we'll need to get that updated. Maybe John Apple can get our water department to update that for us, or just give us the numbers. Although the water usage data tables looks like it's updated for 2020, so it's really just, oh, that looks up to date, actually.
Yeah.
our newest well is from 2010, right? Yeah, so then,
I think,
So that's
I think John did that.
I think what it was is that water use data wasn't updated, now it is for 2020, so. Mm-hmm, okay. Mowing them down.
Progress.
All right,
On page, the top, these headings too, the top heading for, on page 52, it says the 5-year update,
Yeah, some say that and some,
so we should just get rid of
Oh,
the
yeah, you're
5-year
right.
update on that.
some, yeah,
And
there's
we
a
couldn't
bunch of
do it.
them.
Mark, can you figure out how to get into that?
There's a bunch of them, Mark.
I think,
all right, so page,
Thank
while
you.
Mark works on that, 56. Townwide drainage plans. Susan, did you edit that? It looks like maybe.
I think it was done.
Yep, it looks like it's been,
Yeah, there it says,
oh, yeah, okay,
That
yep,
looks like it's been added.
cool, great.
Yeah.
57,
Somebody updated.
that looks
Yeah,
updated.
they've
yeah.
already been updated then,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
All right, we need to get rid of, does this need to be updated?
I think, yeah, I checked it. I think we're good.
No, but I mean, that's in the text too.
I mean,
Oh.
I just did it. Oh.
that could get removed, Diane?
I just did it.
Oh.
You're ahead of us, yeah. But that, so on page 58, yeah, do we need a section on a new well that's from 2010? Is your question, right, Diane?
Yeah, that was my question. We talked about that, Kathy.
yeah, the new well
The new
purpose.
well.
I mean,
Do we have to repeat that, or?
it should be in accomplishments, not,
Yeah.
right? If we want it at all. I'm open to, South Atlantic Avenue water main and service
Okay,
replacement.
so if it was completed in 2011, do we still need it in the report is the question?
I would say no,
Yeah,
yeah. So we can take out at least that
yeah.
section 3 there. Oh, and then in number 1 above, it says status 2 completed in April. We can just change that to completed April,
Yeah,
if that's when it was completed.
What is this highlighted?
I don't know. Esma.
Did you just highlight this, Mark?
I didn't. But
Yeah.
Can we get rid of it?
It says Kathy has it highlighted. I don't know.
I didn't touch, no, I don't think I did.
Yeah, we could, let's see.
Oh, there it is.
Maybe I did.
We need to update on page 61, the map says 2011.
58, we need to bring down, 58, bottom of 58, we need to bring down stormwater, I believe. Oh, is this just state?
Up here.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
There. Do you want to see, look at?
No changes. Yeah. Diane, Diane, on 62, is that table 15,
I just wanted to make sure that the table number was correct.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's all been updated?
yeah, that's all been
You're done.
updated, so we should be okay.
Do we know if these numbers, the annual number of vehicles per day on Route 1 is current?
Which,
Just above table 15?
I think these were the numbers that Lou had sent to me, so that, oh, you mean above that?
Yeah, we say the
Oh.
annual number of vehicles per day varies considerably from 3,600 to a high of 9,300, 9,400. I just don't know if that's today's numbers or 10 years ago numbers.
It was probably, yeah.
Where are we?
We could ask John to do that,
Yeah.
because they probably got that information together when they made the request to reduce the speed limit on US 1.
Okay?
On page 63, do we have to add tables oh, someone just did.
Yeah, I accepted, I accepted Diane's suggestion there. All right, so on page 66, looks like Andrea's updated our table.
The top.
Oh, but that, yeah,
Yeah.
it should be really 2012 to
Yeah,
2021. Oh, but if we accept those table 15 and 16 from before, this actually becomes table 17.
that's right. This becomes 16, 7, yeah.
And then we need to just keep an eye on that the rest of the way
Yeah.
down. I think the comments on page 69 probably still stand about seeing if there's a more recent chart and have the water department review that.
Is that something John could
Yeah,
ask them about?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
well, John's going to be it's got to be the guy as a staff person to go get that stuff.
mm-hmm. All right, so I'm down on 73. Andrea has updated our
Yeah, that was
table,
updated.
and we should,
Table number needs to change.
yeah, should be 97 through 2020.
Yeah.
And the table,
Yeah.
table.
Oh,
This is
it is
18?
18 now, right?
I think it's, well, when the documents just about ready to go, we barely need to go through, make sure all the tables and the headings are correct.
And I'm going to change this footnote to 2020 also. We still need to update, because there's been at least one more recent beach replenishment, but probably two on table 19. Some of this stuff is probably stuff that the state helped us with before. I imagine, like this chart on 30-year damage figures for selected places from the Heinz Center. So I think the same comment as above. Is there a more recent? Table for that.
Are you talking about the yearly erosion rates?
That, yeah, that one we already had a comment above, that should be updated, figure 12 on page 75, but then also figure 13 on page 77 is,
Both are from the Heinz, yeah.
yeah. So on page 84, we have a table 18 of employment of residents by industry that goes through 2015. And that should be able to be updated when we have the new census data.
Census, yeah.
Yes, that will be updated, and then the table
Table
number will be
change, yeah.
19. Is it 8, 9?
Or 20, right? We're moving it to.
20, I mean, what's our table up to now?
20, I think. Wouldn't that be 20?
I think so, yeah, 20.
Just above that is the Green Vision Initiative. Or recommendation number 5. So
The-
is that what was being referenced earlier on?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Our we're on page 83. I guess we did talk, we touched on this briefly in one of the earlier meetings, I think. I guess I don't know that we actually have a Green Bethany initiative or whatever we've called that thing, but we have done some of these things. I would say that installing car chargers is encouraging the use of green vehicles. Not that we can't do more to do that, but I don't know that we actually encourage the use of green lawn equipment and outdoor tools. Sounds nice. Sounds quieter. Paperless government, I know, we have iPads for people in the government and stuff. Yeah. Are these initiatives for future consideration is one way to look at it too? I mean, we're not really kind of in it.
Well, some of these are current, correct?
Yeah. So are they even recommendations?
So do you just need to add maybe what's in place and then leave the other ones on future considerations?
I mean, we could just say continue to encourage the use of.
Yeah, so instead of,
Just put continue in front of encourage.
But how are we encouraging it?
Yeah.
You know, I hate to use that word
Right,
because somebody will say,
encourage.
well, what are you doing? You know, do you send a notice out? I'm not sure we encourage anything.
yeah.
Oh, that's, okay. Oh, I see, mean to this, okay.
Yeah, I would say
Now,
like,
if we put that in and the council approves it, then we're going to start having,
we have to do it.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's up to them.
Well,
I mean, keep in mind that we're writing it so they can decide whether they want it or not.
yeah,
And if we decide, gee, we'd like the council to encourage, then leave it in,
Yeah.
simple as
That's
that.
good, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
And let them make the decision.
And we already have like charging stations now.
Yeah,
I think it'd be great to have an actual Green Bethany initiative.
Yeah.
And underneath that could be things like you all discussed last month about impervious surfaces and, you know, green spaces and things like that. I mean, it's a little bit low-hanging fruit, the things that are noted here, encouraging the use of green vehicles. I mean, that's a snowball that's already rolling, really. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we're not going to do much more for that other than to decide at the town level to purchase them. Sure, yeah, and we can, yeah, I mean, that's a point. And, you know, maybe the next garbage truck is an electric garbage truck, if that's, you know, if the technology catches up.
My grandson has one of those.
Electric one, yeah.
Got a remote like that?
Yeah.
Well, do we also want to put something about the use of impervious,
Yeah, do we
pervious
wanna-
materials?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's if we're gonna have a Green Bethany initiative, I would say that we should actually have one, and that we should define what that wants to be, you know? More than just paperless government.
Well, we do, yeah, well, we do have time, so if somebody wants to, and Scott, I know you've you know, mentioned this in the past that you're very interested in it. If you want to write a paragraph up,
Okay.
and, you know, this is, I'm gonna let it be yours, and we can discuss at the meeting. So you're gonna get the lion's share of, what's going on, so yeah, you can put it down and we'll make a decision whether, all or none of it or whatever. You know,
Yeah, I think
it depends how we change the, you know, size of structures, and we've done a lot of things that would encourage green, I guess, I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's good.
I think I just think it should be measurable and achievable. I mean, it just,
Right.
but it can be a little more than just, we're not printing as much as we used to, because it's hard to even say whether that's green or not. You know, I do think actions like putting solar panels on the roof of this building are sustainable initiatives, and, you know, we can look at, do we do that at maintenance properties and other things like that? So I don't think we have to go crazy. I don't think we're not gonna be Silicon Valley over here, but we can,
Well, if you want to put a paragraph together, and then everybody else
Right.
have some ideas before you see it,
Yeah.
that you'd like to see, and we'll do that at the next, we'll make that a specific item, not just under general review. That'll be a specific review item
Yeah.
that we'll call green.
yeah. And in that can be things like this, and this goes to what I emailed out about the Ocean View bus line that they rejected. It's just that other towns are trying to solve problems
Yeah,
together.
I want to, yeah, I'm going to,
We
once
can-
we finish this part, I'd like you
Okay.
to, you know, that's where we're going to insert what you.
Yeah,
you-
okay.
you-
Well, I think another consideration is we buy property that becomes available, like across the street here,
Yeah,
and
Preserving wetlands.
make it into a environmental friendly with pathways and places to picnic and enjoy themselves, family events. So, you know, that's one of the things. I think that was a big environmental green issue right there.
Well, slowing the speed limit's a green thing. Down to 25 miles an hour in US 1. I mean, there's a lot of things. We can use green fireworks.
Well, the other good thing about putting it in now is that in 5 years, for the mid-assessment of this plan, we will have some, hopefully, documentation.
Yeah, it's coming. I mean, no question.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's important as we talk about just, 10 pages earlier, the average temperature is 2 degrees warmer, there's 3 more inches of rain per year. Like, not that we're gonna solve that here in Bethany on our own, but every town's gotta be taking steps like that. There's steps like this so.
Good.
Okay,
Good.
I tagged us into this. I'll help you with this.
great, thank you. That way it'll actually be intelligent, whatever gets done.
Saying that. Not promising.
Yeah.
That's where we're sitting there and they're sitting there.
All right, so on page 80, starting on page 84 and spilling onto 85, we have a note from August that says that the paragraph that begins, "In general, the labor pool in the town of Bethany Beach should be refined." Does anyone still feel like it needs to be refined? I can read that here. So in general, the labor pool in the town of Bethany Beach seems to be increasing in diversity and keeping up with population growth as a whole. However, the population and demography profile, I feel like that should be demographic.
Yeah.
Is demography a word? Demographic profile provided earlier in this comprehensive plan, if it is a word, it's a speed bump, for sure. Provided earlier in this comprehensive plan suggests that future population increases may not contribute proportionally to the resident labor pool. As the community of Bethany Beach becomes increasingly composed of older, retired individuals, the available and active labor pool in the town can be expected to decline. As a result, the town may need to employ persons from elsewhere in the region, increasing the need for a focus on an effective, affordable housing strategy in Sussex County. But for now, the workforce of Bethany Beach seems to be improving in composition and keeping up with local population growth. It seems reasonable, yeah.
Totally true,
And it does.
true statement.
Does put a check mark by one of the comments that we're gonna get from the state anyway.
I mean, yeah, that is definitely an area they focus on.
Right. You know, whether it's attainable or not doesn't really,
Well, I recall the last time they challenged that, and I asked them, if you're 1 square mile and the cost of property, how do you do that?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think we should leave it in.
Yeah, I think definitely leave it in,
Okay.
because if not, it's like you never addressed it.
We're gonna have to put it back in anyway. They're gonna, that is an area of criticism.
That's a focus.
You know, I think Scott said right, it's a speed bump that
Yeah.
they're gonna hit.
Okay, so below that, local businesses, it looks like Andrea has confirmed our number of more than 100 businesses. So that's great.
Next page as well,
Okay,
restaurants.
30 restaurants. We have more than 60 retail stores now.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Okay. The Ocean City of the North.
All right.
Which I must say, the restaurants growing after COVID, that's pretty good. Most places are going the other way.
They did a good job here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that whole section can be left the way it is. I mean, history is history. We're not making new ones here.
Mhm.
I won't say anything.
On page 90, though, Kathy, you've noted that the Dinker Cottage should be updated.
Right.
Oh, I guess the question
I
is,
guess just,
is it in the registry of historic places?
yes, in the registry, and
Yeah. I think it's now in the
is that
registry.
what it's officially called now? The Dinker Cottage?
Dinker Irwin. Dinker Irwin.
Dinker Irwin?
IRIWN? That can't be how you, IRWIN? Yeah, can't be how you spell it.
And, yeah, is it in the registry?
I think it is because they had to do certain things to the house so that it could still be considered historic. I'm gonna call on that, sure. but-
I've accepted that for now.
Okay,
too, so if
accept
you-
it for now, and
Okay.
I'll double check. I'm pretty sure it is. I went to a meeting the other day, and
It's urban.
Under historic and cultural resource inventory. Is the acronym really CHAC?
It's check.
chat, yeah.
What's the C stand for?
What's that?
What's the C stand for?
Cultural,
Oh.
historic,
So it should say cultural.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and historic committee.
there we go.
So this, yeah.
So down on page 96, Diane, you questioned whether the improved bandstand was still relevant,
Right, I mean, it was,
finished in
it was
2006.
completed between the season of 2006. Do we just still can put it in?
We could probably take it out.
Yeah.
I'm down on page 97. We noted that we should add accomplishments to our economic and community development paragraph. So maybe we can just take a look at that offline and add some, or not add, if we don't have accomplishments, don't add them. Goal statement, commercial lodging district, that shouldn't be a goal anymore, right? It is a,
That's right.
Right.
I'm just going through and making these accomplishments rather than goals. So on 98, we have the Main Street, it's got to be National Trust for Historic Preservation. Just don't know if this is an active thing that we're doing. Could probably all just stay. I feel like are we in the meat of stuff that we haven't covered yet? Now, when we're down this far? Maybe we've already we've been here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, then moving along, down in 99, recommendation 5 really shouldn't be a recommendation.
Right.
It's been done. Just don't know how to handle that. Should it be in a separate section altogether as an accomplishment? This is the bulk density.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where to put it.
Yeah. I'm just gonna make a note that we should review where this
Where to
should
put
go.
it, Yeah,
Maybe in the housing area.
yeah, could be, yeah, housing.
Okay, so page 100, Andrea has updated our
Yep.
our dates, so I think that allows us to accept John's comment of review and update that on near-term projects.
don't know, at the bottom of that one, going back to recommendation 5, but we're still evaluating these, even though we did the bulk density.
So you think it should kind of possibly stay here as an ongoing thing?
Yeah, I definitely think it's ongoing. I mean, we did the bulk density, and now we have, the bulk density should always be under review because they come up with ways to
Oh, okay.
Bypass.
Gotcha.
circumvent it all the time. And we face other challenges. One of the biggest things right now is everybody wants their own little pool, you know, and they're constantly creating things on these homes that are bigger, and we have to sort of reevaluate it all the time, I think.
Can you look at that section and propose, or I don't know, maybe just move things that are accomplishments within that same section to this is done, we're evaluating that or something? Maybe that's the way to handle that.
Yeah, I can put in other things, you know, that this is, you know, we did this trade-off chart, but we're also still evaluating, you know, how to maybe tweak that, or, you know, it's only been in effect for a couple of years. What are things that we might look at that, you know, maybe a year or two from now, maybe we look at, you know, how this has changed things and if it's really giving us the impact that we want. So, yeah, I can take a look at
Okay.
that.
Okay, so on page 101, Andrea has made changes to organize this or to reflect where we really are rather than as a proposed thing. A lot of these, she's added a note here that the town park has been completed. So I'm just kind of going through and accepting these. Two 2012 is a long time ago, not a long-term project, right? Oh, man, that's the last page.
Yep.
Way to go, guys.
Hey,
Congratulations. Yes, sir.
Projects. Oh, thank you. We get to these major capital projects, the town has a 5-year plan that says these are the projects that we have. And I'm not sure that somehow or another, if that were incorporated in here, it would be helpful to give us a look forward for the next 5, maybe 10 years, which is, you know, financially, when I look, it's that look over the horizon that is so important from a financial standpoint. That's I could care less about the current budget per se, because we kind of know what's going on there, but it's what the future brings. Thank you.
Thanks. We could take that, and I don't want to put that plan in this plan, but we can certainly reference it as a line item.
Yeah, we could have John Apple just add those major capital projects as
Okay.
proposed.
Maybe put a link in where somebody can check that out.
Right. I like that, yeah. Good. I miss it. Was Mark's name on the first page? As far as,
thought we put it on. We better
Probably
check it
not.
out.
as chairman, I make sure all my members are acknowledged.
Coming in at the end here, you know?
Mm-hmm. What page is that?
Well, we even are planning,
There it is.
You made it.
I made it.
All right.
Actually, I think Andrea slipped it in there.
John Gaughan's picture there on that wax?
No, that's a fly. That's the original trolley. Okay, excellent, ladies and gentlemen, excellent. Yes, sir.
we can change this. It's where the town officials are. It's right under Mark's name.
You want actual street map?
Oh.
There's something funky about Gerald.
Yeah, yeah, this little, you remember, yeah, okay. Kathy and I couldn't figure it out at the time.
Where is that?
If you,
So maybe that is a 2004 map.
like right here,
Where's
See if we
the
can-
zoning map?
You have to be
so
right
I
on
just
it.
took it out.
Oh, okay.
Those are,
I don't know why we couldn't get that I out.
I don't think it,
even if you go up to the,
page is that? I can't see it.
then you're in like the headers.
38, all right, hang on, I'm getting there.
Are you sure? Oh, yeah, well, it is, it would be newer than this map. This is from 2004, and that was,
Yeah, but I think that it doesn't include
Okay.
private, does it include private
section
streets?
with the
Because that's not a,
Oh,
8-1,
Genmar is the,
the one that we just went into.
yeah,
it's
east of,
but that's
there. Oh, here we go.
private, it's not a street
yeah.
or a road. It's a development that, I don't know, but I'm looking to see if we have any of the others.
Mark's
Yeah.
the gym, too.
Well, on that, I guess if the,
Yeah, if you look at,
whole
if
side
you
is
look at
No, but he's-
Bethany
there's things
proper,
that
you
we
don't
just
see all the
point to
little
back door to
courts.
do a lot. He knows what
right?
to do as a front door.
Let me take- John and I
Yeah.
were looking at our, my pen's out of ink, I can't do this.
Because that's a street. Yeah. I
it's because it's a PRD, right? It's not a,
Or is this where we wanted to, his
Is that a
term
PRD? I
ends
don't
on
know.
November?
That
for
was-
Genmar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Don't
So
you think it should be uneven?
Okay.
it's not a town
We
street,
need that information.
Yeah.
some of these.
Okay, let's, we got 5 conversations going, so we'll get back to point
I
here.
think that was the point.
Scott, we'll put it under old business in this general review. You know, you had an item that you wanted to bring up and discuss.
Yeah, I just wanted to, in our conversations about this comprehensive plan, we've talked a lot about, pedestrian safety and bike transportation and things like that. We started way back, just saying that, some of these are really tough challenges to solve and things that we're not going to be able to solve as a town on our own. It just drew my attention that Ocean View was voting on and eventually rejected the notion of having a bus line into Bethany. And I know that has like its own problems and issues, but I just wanted to point out that it ties into what we were talking about, which is that we could look to work with our neighboring towns to solve any issue we decided we wanted to solve, or, not necessarily solve, but work towards a solution for. So it just highlighted for me that like Ocean View was trying to do this thing in a vacuum, not talking to us about it. It might be something we don't even really necessarily want, but it does show that they're seeing some of the same things we're seeing, which is like traffic on Route 1, challenges of moving around here. I mentioned this to Cliff Gravier and to Rosemary, and we just talked about like, well, maybe this is an opportunity to reach out to talk with them about going to the state and asking for a bike lane or something, like a dedicated way to get here that's an alternative means of transportation. And I bring it up only, the reason I sent that out as a link is just to talk about the notion that if there are things that we want as a planning commission, we could lead that conversation. We'd have a lot more control over what that thing is if we start the conversation versus we react to the conversation. So it just hit home for me that, hey, Ocean View's trying to do something in a vacuum. We're potentially trying to do things in a vacuum. We're so small, as Lou pointed out when we talked about housing and affordable housing. We don't really have control over a lot, but we could look to say, talk to Millville, who has tons of money in real estate transfer taxes, and Ocean View, and actually maybe lead those conversations rather than end up reacting to whatever happens. So, for instance, if Ocean View had passed an ordinance to create a bus line, we wouldn't really have much in the way of impact on that other than to say when they could do drop-offs, from a safety issue. So I don't know if anybody else had any comments or thoughts on that.
I'd like Lou to comment, because we've had discussions about other towns and things like that.
Actually, several years ago, maybe, I don't know exactly how far back, many of the towns would meet together to discuss issues like you just mentioned. It's a challenge to sit there and to deal with small communities, each with their own ideas about how they would like to proceed. And it sometimes became very difficult to come up with a comprehensive plan that everyone can walk away with and feel comfortable with. It was an eye-opener for me, let me put it this way. I learned to be quiet and listen rather than, put Bethany Beach's point of view there. A lot of times, some of the smaller communities, like say the Frankfurts and the Selbyvilles and those kinds of towns, they kind of they have their own ideas about what's important for their own communities, and I got the impression, it's my own personal impression, that like towns like Bethany Beach, they don't want to be like, don't tell us what to do, or don't say we can't do this, or why are you here? Seriously, I mean, there were kind of conversations like, why? Like I remember just sitting there, not even identifying myself, but because so like many of these small towns, they have very few people show up there, but the ones who do are the same people all the time. So when you show up and they say, well, who are you?
Yeah.
And they say, and where are you from? And then why are you here? So you have to develop a much more of a gradual relationship with everybody, understanding it's information only, to share information, not to dictate a policy or a position, but just to, it's a challenge. On paper, what you're suggesting sounds very wonderful, but I mean, look at this route changing the speed limit on Route 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm really suggesting is that not any specific action other than to say, if our neighboring towns are looking to solve problems that they see, that rather than like going to their planning commission meeting or their town council meeting and sitting in and not being an uninvited participant, actually saying like, reaching out to them and saying, can we establish a working group to look at these things together? Can we solve whatever it is if we want to do that? Because we have a limited kind of purview here. We really can't do much outside of the town limits. But I think, if we talk like, and this came up yesterday as we were talking about a possible path through the Walcheck property, which is that was opposed really strongly back in the early 2000s. Well, that's 20 years ago, and so if we recognize that Ocean View is trying or considering a bus line, which is probably like dead on the vine, but like they're seeing the same issues that we're seeing, or that John saw this morning. You can't get out of the parking lot at the breakfast place, and that's a Saturday morning in November. It shouldn't be, and so I think I've been a strong advocate for like alternative means of transportation. Can you do a bike lane? I think what you're seeing is like other towns are starting to recognize that there's a problem. Some of them obviously want to just get to Bethany and be on the beach,
Was that what they were thinking of, a bus from there to, see, we have this,
Yeah,
and we charge a fee
Right.
for bus lines to come in and drop people off. And the problem is that it gets overcrowded, and these bigger buses and everything jam up the traffic as well. So we have a lot of these coming in.
Yeah.
We charge them a very large fee for this privilege to come in and use our resources.
so that's exactly what Ocean View was looking at doing. So rather than one of the neighborhood shuttles, they were going to make a town-wide shuttle. I think what they found was that it would be $8 a trip
Right, it would be
to do that.
expensive,
So it was
yeah.
prohibitively expensive.
Right.
Well, we do it for 25 cents.
Right, right.
No
But-
comment from me.
And I'm not saying that we want to have a bus line that runs up and down 26. I'm not really, but what I am saying is that if there were ways to reduce the number of times you had to get in your car to get somewhere, to if you like, and I
But
think,
we're looking at these towns reducing their getting in the car. What's the benefit then to Bethany? I mean, we have a finite amount of parking spaces, true, but that's just what we have. I'm trying to, some of these things aren't really a good benefit to the town and the people of Bethany Beach. And maybe that's where because we do allow them to come in, they have to, but we can only allow so many. So then, where do you stop it?
yeah, I mean, and
And you always have to look at what's the benefit to the town, really.
yeah, I think that's right, exactly. And that's why I'm not taking a specific position on a thing that we should be looking at or trying to get. But I do think there's a quality of life issue when you're, like, we're going to see 10 years from now that it takes 20 minutes to get to Giant. And, and then, so right now, people are like saying, well, we don't want more people in town on Saturday when we want to go to the beach. Understandable. Like, or we want to be able to park there. I think what I'm seeing, and maybe Mark would agree with this, is not to put words in his mouth, but like that if you look forward 10 years from now with how hard it is, and I see this every day trying to turn out of my office to come towards Bethany, you try to turn left, like it's becoming more and more complicated. And there is no shoulder season anymore. There is, there's maybe a 1 month off season. And are there ways that, that we can look to work with neighboring communities to try to fix this? I don't think getting people here to get to the beach is really a concern that we should be trying to address. That's for them to solve.
Scott, I think there's another issue that you have to think about. I don't know, I came from Pennsylvania, but I never imagined how unique Delaware is in so many ways. You just go down 26, head west on 26. You come in and out of towns, in and out of the county. And when you're dealing with county properties, and I think most of the big developments we're seeing are in county properties and not local municipalities. And when there's let's put it gently, I don't think there are many new planned residential communities in county property that are denied. And I think if you look at all the major impacts on the population, which impacts obviously traffic and our roadways, are on county property.
Yeah,
And
I think that's true. I think you're 100% right. I don't think there's many that get, if they're within the current figures and required open spaces, and they're going to get approved. It's only when somebody's asking for something that's outside of and that's because the county can't really deny it. I mean, if it's a matter of right, you have to accept it as long as it meets the requirements of the code.
And the highways or the roadways that are facing the issues that you're dealing with are either county or state owned.
And so when I was talking with Cliff a little bit about this, and he thought, well, if if we would have made 26 4 lanes when we had the opportunity, or what, but it wasn't really up to Bethany at all.
No, it was not.
If that had happened, that would be a solution. But I grew up in Northern Virginia, and I can tell you that every time you add a lane, it just gets filled with traffic. You would have to pave over all of Northern Virginia, and then there would be nowhere to drive to. So, again, I have no specific agenda other than to just say, as a planning commission, if there are things that we think would help and add to, like, would benefit the residents of the town of Bethany, that we should look to lead those conversations. And maybe that's even advocating to the state. Cliff and Rosemary suggested that maybe we advocate to DENREC to find out if there's a bike path through their property or something that would lead out to areas in Millville that aren't really on the 26 corridor. And so it's just thinking about things like that. That's the only reason I brought that bus line up, is just to say that not much will get done in a vacuum. So anything we would do would have to work with the county, Ocean View, Millville, the county 3 more times in between those places, and DelDOT and DENREC and all of those things. And it would be difficult, but we're in a stronger position if we identify what that is and we lead those conversations.
There are opportunities through the Sussex County Association of Towns and the Association of Coastal Towns, where we do sit together, especially over a relaxed drink and a meal, and to really bring out at those kind of meetings some of the issues that each of our communities are dealing with.
Yeah.
And also finding ways of us speaking with one voice, especially when you're dealing with the county.
Yeah, I think that's right. Right. If there, now I'm not sure that there is an issue that we could all speak with one voice on, but if there was, if Bethany, Millville, Ocean View, just to use the east-west towns, but you also have Fenwick and South Bethany, if we were all speaking with one voice to the county or to DelDOT asking for, and the 30-mile-an-hour issue is something very similar to that. So I don't want to be on a soapbox for too much longer. I know people have things to do, but
I'll join you on the soapbox.
all right.
All right, now here we go.
No, conceptually, I totally agree that there needs to be venues to discuss these types of issues. I mean, if there was a coordinated transportation plan between, whether it be between private communities, towns, and the county, and probably the state, to find, as an example, to find some open area where if everybody has a van or a bus, they come, they drop off, and instead of crowding Bethany, they park at the National Guard base because of a memorandum of understanding that says that during the summer there's some space that could be used. Maybe this is all theoretical, but the point being that it is important to have some forum to have those discussions, whether it is led by Bethany Beach or by a coastal community, because all that tsunami is coming. And if it takes getting the Sussex County Planning Board's attention to say, look, we're concerned about this tsunami. What are you doing about it? We're only 1 square mile. I think pursuing efforts to coordinate and to share ideas is something that I don't think is out of bounds as a recommendation for the town. We don't have to tell the town how to do it, but because they're already doing that, and their answer may be, well, we're already doing that. But there are enough of these outside forces that we see coming at us that we should be doing whatever we can to understand the impetus for that from ocean view or whatever. And maybe even find a way of looking for a solution to an $8 trip so that it could be used.
And
So,
to take that another step, Susan pointed out the safety issues with having the buses drop off here and the crowding issues, and that's something we're gonna have to work to try to solve. The other thing you could say is, and I'm sure DENREC has recognized the problem with the state park in Fenwick is full by 9 a.m. on a summer weekend. Well, that's because everyone's in a private car trying to get there. And so, one of the things we could say is, hey, this is a problem from a safety standpoint. We don't really have the capacity. We don't have the land. We're not able to do this. But you've got a state park here. Why don't we work together to run shuttles to the state park instead of to town? And again, I'm just spitballing. I'm not saying that's a platform I'm actually advocating for, but I'm just saying those are the kinds of things that we could get to if we were working together rather than trying to solve some problem in a vacuum that in the 1 square mile that we have purview over. That may not be something that anybody wants. I mean, it's not gonna it might not fix anything, but it's all coming as you accurately described it. It's a tsunami, and it's on its way.
well, Scott, I for one, if there's a recommendation in our draft comprehensive plan about coordination or whatever, I would vote for that to at least go forward for the town council to digest and decide whether to accept it or not. It's not an action item that has immediate cost or whatever, so I would be for something along those lines.
Okay, just one comment from me. That's almost, to me, doesn't sound so much like a planning and zoning commission responsibility. It seems it's more like a council responsibility, because that's really where the authority of the town comes from. We are, as a commission, a recommender. Now, we could be placed in a position where we could be the media, if you will, for the town, but I would think that decision and to have any force and effect would have to come from the mayors and the councils of the various small towns in the area. And I agree with both you and John that it's probably not a bad idea if we could work it. Now, Lou's tried to do it on his own, and I don't mean it that way, but I mean, Lou showed up and you heard what.
Yeah, they don't want to hear Bethany's perspective.
Yeah, so if I showed up,
Yeah.
they'd like, what are you doing here, and
Yeah.
who are you, and what is that? And so I think it has merit, but maybe it should start with a discussion, not necessarily from the planning commission, but from the town council, and if in fact that the town council felt that was appropriate, and again, I'll use or whoever used the speed limit thing on US 1, I read in the paper what South Bethany said, forget that, we don't, it would be nice to have a better relationship amongst all the towns, east, west, and north, south. And we know we only go north to the end of Bethany. There's nothing past here. And the biggest problem that we have traffic-wise and other is the east-west corridor. It's a problem, and I don't think the state is quite that interested in what's happening down here, because you have the state parks, as you pointed out, they take no buses. You can't go there, and there's plenty of room there. You can go to the state beach, and when those parking lots are full, because two of my kids work as guards down at Fenwick Island, Safe Beach. And even when the parking lots are full, there was plenty of room on those beaches.
Yeah.
And they could take a lot more people, unlike Bethany where, we're saturated
Yeah.
when it comes. So I would say, my recommendation would be, let the council deal with it first. Lou?
There's just a final thought. There's a little other complication, especially dealing with the coastal communities. Most of the people who own property here aren't residents of the state of Delaware. They're not residents of the county. Their primary residence is in another area. So any political advantage you might have could be much diluted, the fact that so very few people would actually can vote for anybody who's currently serving at the county or even the state level. So it's something in consideration. And in today's world of polarization, it doesn't take much to create scenarios. So that's nice, but they can't vote for me either against me or for me. So it's just another complication for the many of the coastal communities.
Well, Lou, I like what you said about the Sussex County Association of Towns, and maybe it starts there informally, and then we look to see if there is any traction anywhere. You start to talk about what that might be, and it comes back to planning and zoning at that point or something.
And also, I'm also involved with the Delaware League of Local Governments, which all 57 towns and 3 counties. So again, these are issues that are commonly talked at dinner tables, lunch tables, about the things that you brought up. But there's a lot of difficulties from funding to, again, look this just changing the speed limit on a road. Not everyone's on board. So, and no matter what the topic is, no matter even not everyone's always going to be on board.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
go
have a
ahead,
question. Actually,
Diane.
Susan might be able to answer that. Is there a communication or meetings between other people in permitting and planning with the local jurisdictions?
We have a building inspectors group, that's takes, we all get together. We also all get together, or most of us, for CRS planning, which is looking at flood regulations and such. We don't get into much more than
Technical?
technical
Yeah,
stuff.
okay.
Okay, Scott, that's a good point. And I do appreciate it being brought up, and I think it's food for thought. You're on the council, so,
Oh, man, I thought this was going to be your problem.
as the new member of the council, you can, Mark likes that, all right, comment, don't you, Mark?
Mr. Chairman, before I
sir.
leave that subject, I do think there's a potential for the Planning Commission to be involved. We're working on the Comprehensive Economic Development Plan. And there are economic consequences here. I'm not proposing that we take the lead, but I do think that we have a role in at least recommending to our political operatives that coordination between neighboring towns and the county is a step towards helping resolve some of these issues. And so I'm afraid that I don't see it as out of bounds for the Planning Commission to have this discussion.
Well, we're having a discussion, but I think, from my point of view and from the experience that Lou has provided us and me over the years, it's got to come from a higher level, I think, and really it's got to, I'm not saying I'm not in favor of it.
It's
I'm
like the
saying
chicken
that
and the egg.
I think the chicken is our bosses, which is the council, and I think that's a good place to start. And as I said before, if they say, well, we want you to do that, they'd have to give us
I
an
understand.
in, so.
But John, you're suggesting having something in the comprehensive plan that just says we would like to, which I think was in there actually from previous versions, and we took it out some time ago when we, 8 months ago or 9 months ago, we were like, well, we don't really do that, so let's take it out. But it used to say we do that or something.
I'd rather have, and we have we have at least 3 council members here. I'd rather, as part of the planning commission, have the town council say, we want you guys, or we want to do that, and have them insert it in the text of the plan. Again, it's going through a public hearing there, and there's a lot of outside things like that, so.
Sure.
I don't want to not embarrass, I don't want to put the town council in a position that becomes a discussion item that they have to make, that they didn't want to make, right? And I think with the recent South Bethany thing, that's a good, Lou's been 100% correct on this. It's like, we don't care, we've got ours, you've got yours, deal with it, unfortunately. All that's going to do is give us more, excuse me, I haven't finished yet. I have not finished, right? All that's going to do is give us more ticketing power, because they're going to go blowing through the other, and I don't see why they didn't think of that, going through the other town. They're going to come in here doing 40 miles an hour and, get trucked. Yes, go ahead, Dan. Yeah, my comments weren't saying don't do this. I'm just saying that it should start at the top. When I mean top, I mean the council starts it. And then you can tell, because that's what the planning commission is here for. If the council says, we want you to study this, or then we study it. We don't set our own agenda. This is about as close to an agenda as we said is the master plan. And so I would, and.
From what I see, it's the town managers who need to talk to each other. That's kind of where it seems to start.
Yeah. No, I'm in full agreement. I think, even though a lot of people don't live in Delaware that would be impacted by this, I think it's still not going to hurt if all the towns are together. My point is, I don't think we should start it specifically from the master planning. It should be done from the council and down, and you went into, well, maybe the town executives should get together, and then all of a sudden, and that's what I'm saying, maybe Cliff says, well, that's something that we're doing or we want to do, and we don't want you appointed people to do it at this point. We'd like the professionals to handle it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, good. No, I appreciate that, yeah. Yes, sir, Joe?
I was talking earlier about the financial aspects, looking, as I call it, looking over the horizon. And that's what you're doing right now, is talking about looking over the horizon. If you could come up with maybe just 10 items and say, these are the items we're going to look at presently for the next year, next 2 years, and bring that, but it's looking forward to see what the requirements are. And I think that's the key down here.
Yeah, I have no problem whatsoever with that. I just, it's from where, you know, should it, and again, I'm just one person on the commission, should it come from us to put that down in writing to the council, or should the council put it to us to add to? And, you know, it's, you know, we've always been responsive to the council is what they want. That's the only difference. I agree with what everybody said.
Well, I think you could do it and give it to the council. You've got people here. So, you know, I would encourage it because it's that long-term planning that's so significant.
Again, as I said, I'm just one person. I'm not gonna stop it, obviously. And, that was just my opinion. And if somebody wants to put it in, if the commission wants to put it in, we'll put it in.
It could go either way. I mean, it could be as simple as saying we encourage it. I mean, I'm not even a voting member of the commission. I don't know.
No, but you're a member. Yeah.
So I think it could go either way. I think it could come from the council saying this is, yeah. I mean, the least important, two important members and the least important member of the.
Listen to this guy.
Yeah, I think it could go either way because it could be something the council says they want to just strike. They don't want to do it. But you know, we do have a model for it from the Association of Coastal Towns. We could, Sussex County Association of Towns. We could, if we could find a great acronym for it, we could make one between. It's got to be a clean acronym. Put the Route 26 corridor. You know.
Okay.
Well, I guess the thing of it is, the comprehensive plan goes to the council,
Yes,
and then they discuss it. But we put everything in the comprehensive plan.
right.
So whatever we put in, they could also disagree with.
That's correct.
So if there's an opportunity, if there's something we wanted to suggest, we could put it in the plan and then let them decide whether it's feasible or not.
Yeah, I think that was a recommendation.
Yeah.
My comment was, maybe I think because of the nature of it, my feeling was, well, maybe it should come from them and then we'll put it in or whatever. But that's okay. I mean, again, that's just, everybody has a different opinion. I'm just one vote. So I'm not trying to force anybody to do anything here. Please believe me. So I would say, so we can move this along, I'd like to hear a motion if someone would like to have that point added, make a motion and we can add it. I mean,
May I ask one question quick, just from a new person's perspective on process? So in the end of that document that we were looking at, there were a lot of recommendations about the green initiative and other things in there. In the past, was that generated by the Planning and Zoning Commission, or were
Yes.
those initiatives that were?
no, it was generated by
Okay.
plan. That's a very good point, but yes.
Okay.
And you're not like he is, the least important.
That's okay. I just, you know, trying to balance out, you know, if you put the recommendation in, I think to maybe what Diane was suggesting, and
Do I hear a
it gets
motion
shut
from you?
down, or do you go the other way? And
Is that a recommendation?
to me, I think if it's in our heads now, and if we can get it in there and present it as a recommendation, I would propose that route and then have the discussion with town council.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So, Mark, will you write?
Sure.
No, not a paragraph, not a paragraph, but
yes.
just, yeah. And the guy next to you will be glad to help you.
Yeah, I think it could be, I think that could be as simple as under the section on growth or something that we would encourage the establishment or the creation of open dialogue between Bethany Beach and the neighboring communities on
Okay.
solutions to these, otherwise intractable issues.
Joe?
It's terrific if you're looking over the horizon and trying to get those long-term plans done, and it's ideal for the planning commission to do that. And thank you very much. Please,
So,
I certainly encourage it.
all right, so it's been seconded, approved, and
Mr. Chairman,
additional comments.
additional comment. I'm not sure that we needed a formal motion and second on this. We're going to be putting together the over-horizon, those actions and all as part of the plan, and it might not even survive, once we've done that, it might not even survive the final review of all of ourselves in going forward. And if it does, it's not an action item, it's a recommendation, and the town council will have ample opportunity to refine whatever those, that document's recommendations are. And if they choose not to include it, that doesn't mean the end of it, but it certainly shows where it ranks in terms of their priorities. So I was going to just suggest that we didn't need a formal motion and all to give it greater credence than it might have. I think there's a sentiment that it's at least an item for further discussion when we finalize our 2022, 2032.
Well, I think since we voted on it, and I'm gonna have to leave, I wanna leave it, I will leave it like that. I think it's something important, and from my standpoint, we're gonna have to approve it anyway. I mean, once we approve the transmission of the plan, the whole thing's done. This way, it's officially done, it's gonna be in there, and, we'll just move on. We don't need to modify. Any other comments? Okay. Let's see, John?
Mr. Chairman, new subject. Yesterday, the town council voted not to have a December town council.
John, please, let him finish.
I'm sorry.
You don't have to do that.
He does, he loves this.
I asked for a motion to adjourn, and I just wanted to
No,
be
I
sure
wasn't. We talked about this the last meeting, that we probably would not have a December meeting. My recommendation, we're not gonna have another meeting this year. So, and I don't even think we need a motion, but we're just not gonna have a meeting. The next meeting will be in January. So, with that, I'd just like to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy yourselves, and enjoy your family and friends this year, for those who couldn't, maskless, I hope. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're done. Thank you.